In this video, uncover how to find out if your potential guests are over or under the age of 25 and where to find that information. Because in the absence of previous reviews, age can be a great predictor of the type of guest that you're dealing with. The problem is that this information isn't right at your fingertips. And stay tuned to uncover the things that I must know about a potential guest before I'll even consider hosting them. And hint, it might not be what you're thinking. Welcome to another episode of Airbnb Uncovered. I'm Matt, the creator of AirbnbUncovered.com and Airbnb Superhost. On this channel, I uncover some of the best kept hosting secrets, as well as share with you everything that I've ever learned after hosting over 3,000 guests. My tips and tricks and best practices are all focused on helping new hosts earn more revenue, attract the best guests, and achieve superhost status faster. Sometimes knowing which guests to roll out the red carpet for and which ones to take a pass on can be hard to determine, especially if you're just starting out. I know for me, when I first started, I hummed and hawed over every guest that didn't have a previous review. I had so many questions. One of the advantages to hosting on Airbnb is that they collect a variety of information about guests. The problem is that this information is spread out over a number of different places, and they're certainly not making it easy for us to find it. Let's start off with what I need to know before I'll consider hosting a guest. The first is their past reviews. The second is whether or not they're over or under the age of 25. And the last one is where the guest's hometown is, so where are they from? Straight off the top, the very first thing I look for is past reviews. When reading past reviews from other hosts, pay attention to subtle hints. Many hosts shy away from writing a brazen review for fear of offending their guests. So sometimes you've really got to read between the lines and see if a guest is trying to tell you something. And if you're wondering how to write a review for a bad guest, check out a video I did on it a few months ago. And you can watch it by clicking on the little I in the top right-hand corner. The next thing I want to know is how old the guest is. But sadly, Airbnb doesn't tell you this information exactly. Instead, they tell you whether or not the guest is over or under the age of 25. And in my experience, this has been super helpful in determining whether the guest will be respectful or not. And finally, a potential guest's hometown is such a critical piece of information. If guests are from your same hometown, you've really got to ask yourself if the guest is being truthful with their reason for booking. I mean, why would someone book a place that's 20 minutes from their house? And I see it time and time again in online forums where hosts are lamenting that they made an exception for a local and came back to find a huge mess. Do you host locals? If you do, how do you know they're going to follow all of your rules? Comment below so we can all learn from each other. The last thing is to piece it all together like the pieces of a puzzle, and then figure out if you have a guest that you want to host or not. So let's look at it like a decision tree, meaning that every piece of information is going to lead us to a different outcome. And we'll start with reviews. First, check to see if the guest has any reviews. If so, how many are there, and are they good or bad? Bad is an instant no. If they're good and there's more than 3 good ones, then it's an instant approve. Fewer than 2 or no reviews, I then move on to age. Over 25 with a positive review, then you likely have a good guest on your hand. Under 25 with either no reviews or just 2 of them, then check to see where the guest is from. If they're from within an hour's drive from you, then the guest could be questionable. If they're under 25 and they're from far away, then you might just have a good guest on your hand. To help you along, I've created that decision tree on paper, and then you can save it to your computer or phone and print it out to keep with you as you're reviewing potential guests. To get it, head on over to my website and provide me with your name, email, and location, and I'll forward the decision tree right over to you for free. At this point, you might be wondering, where do you get all this information from? Well, the guest's hometown and their past reviews are on their profile. But the tricky part is finding the age, and you have to get that in the email you receive from Airbnb notifying you of a request. And then you scroll down just a little bit and it's in the more details about who's coming section. It's a little box. But unfortunately, the age information isn't always available for all guests. And that's a bummer. But in those cases, you just have to ask lots of questions. And if you want to see the exact questions that I use, I put them in my ultimate guide to attracting the best guests and avoiding the worst ones. And you can download that guide from my website. And you can even copy paste the exact questions I use into your own replies with guests. Having guest information scattered all over can make things a bit frustrating, I know. But knowing where to look is only half the battle, because then you have to decide if you want to host the guest or not. Use that decision tree that I just talked about to make the right decision to minimize your risk. And remember, you can download that decision tree from my website for free. I hope that you enjoyed this week's video and that you learned something. If you did, then please give this video a thumbs up and rate it highly if you're asked. Every week I share a new tip, trick, or best practice. So subscribe to my channel and get them all. And click on the notification bell to be alerted when I post a new video. Thanks again for watching, and until next week, bye for now.